So, you open Google Chrome on your phone, you're rushing to buy tickets to a concert that all your friends are going to. Picture yourself now, crowd surfing to the front, being invited onto the stage, backstage the world tour, and before you know it, you're dancing in Tokyo. Wait, what? 3 tickets left? It's a good thing your saved payment details autofill quickly and securely. There's no place like Chrome. Download Google Chrome on your phone.
Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie Podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 153 of the Mistress Carrie Podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, Dez Fafara from DevilDriver Coal Chamber, I want to remind you that Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, May 14th. And from now through Mother's Day, you can get 25% off all ladies' t-shirts and tank tops and My Mommy Rocks baby onesies in the online shop at mistresscarrie.com. Just use the code MOM2023. This week, my guest is Dez Fafara from DevilDriver Coal Chamber, who first made an appearance on the Mistress Carrie podcast back on July 15th of 2020 on episode 6. DevilDriver are getting ready to release their new album, Dealing with Demons 2, coming up this Friday, May 12th. And Coal Chamber have announced a reunion and a massive summer tour with Mudvayne. So I thought it was the perfect time to catch back up with Dez to talk about the new DevilDriver album, the Coal Chamber reunion, his almost fatal battle with COVID. Plus, we talked about Dez's upcoming autobiography. He gave me some marriage and parenting advice. We talked about the return of nu metal, his pet cats, his love of Indian food, growing tomatoes, and being Italian. And we even talked about his early days growing up as a drummer. You really never know what Dez and I are going to talk about anytime we get together. He's one of my oldest and dearest friends in music, and I'm so excited that he's back on the show for episode 153. So, allow me to reintroduce you to Dez Fafara from DevilDriver Coal Chamber. Dez!
Anastasia says hello.
What's up, Dez? Hello, Anastasia.
How are you?
Oh my God, it's so good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. You look fabulous.
Thanks.
You look marvelous.
You look marvelous. What sucks is that anybody under 40 doesn't even get that joke.
Yeah, go look it up. It's funny as hell. Hey, can I cuss on this today or no?
Fuck yeah, dude. Bring it on.
Yeah, I'm from California. I got kind of a foul mouth, so.
You and me both. An Italian from Boston. Come on.
An Italian from California. Yeah, ma che fa. I'm going to come at it.
Where are you right now?
I am in our, what we call the Oracle Tiki Room. This is our downstairs area. It's got our Oracle management sign. And then it's got neon around it. I got a original 1972 turntable, a video game that was given to me by Al Jurgensen and signed with the ministry logo on it and signed to the family. Some cool little dolls of me and Anastasia, a bunch of stuff over here where people can sit. And then we have a bar. I'm sober, but we have a bar from the Mayan Theater in downtown LA that came out from the 1960s, actually. And then up here, I have a ton. I have like probably about 150 tiki mugs, pool table. Yeah. So this is kind of our kind of go-to when we want to I have an office downstairs and she has an office upstairs because we manage a lot of bands and we want to kind of meet in the middle, have lunch and hang out. This is where we hang right here.
Well, your turntable was built the same year that I was born. Good things come from 1972.
Yeah, I had a guy come in and go, man, you need a new turntable. I'm like, bro, you have no idea how expensive that is. Like, and it sounds like when you listen to Black Sabbath on this thing, it sounds like what it's meant to sound like. So, but yeah, this is our little hang room, and I'm walking around doing interviews. It allows me to pace, which is I got to do.
I do that too when I'm on the phone. I dust a lot. If I'm home, I dust when I'm on the phone. It's weird that we can't sit still and talk to people.
Yeah, I mean, I suffer from ADD, ADHD my whole life. So it's like, my autobiography is coming out between June and August of this year on Rarebird, and it's done. And there's actually a story about a elementary school teacher that tied me to my chair for an afternoon where she would have gone to prison now, but because I wouldn't stop moving around. So I've suffered from that my whole life. I use it for me, because I run multiple companies on huge levels, and we could get into that. But I use it as a tool. And somebody actually just was interviewing me now and said, that could be kind of a superpower, ADD. And I said, it can. If you stay off the Ritalin and off the drugs they're going to give you for it, if you stay off of that and you utilize it, it absolutely is. So yeah, I tend to pace around a lot. If I'm making you dizzy at all and I'm walking around, I'll try to be calm.
It's like an episode of Wayne's World, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I think with anything in your life, I think if you find a way to kind of tackle it head on and be positive, you can not only live with it, but thrive with it. So you obviously have figured it out.
Absolutely. I mean, it's drove my mom insane when I was younger. I mean, drives Anastasia crazy. I only sleep 4 hours a night. So like if I find myself falling asleep at 10 o'clock, I'm down in my studio at 2 o'clock. I'm painting or writing and I'm up for the day.
And you feel fine only sleeping 4 hours a night?
My whole life. I don't know what it is. I mean, even, obviously I had a heart doctor because I just came through COVID and it almost killed me. And my heart doctor's like, yeah, you're great. When it comes to sleep, it's just, some people are just like that,
Didn't Thomas Edison say that he only slept a few hours a night and that he thought sleep was a waste of time?
Yeah. I think him and Tesla as well. Nicholas Tesla. I think he only caught 2-3 hours a night. And obviously I'm not comparing myself to those guys. I'm not inventing anything other than art, but I mean, it definitely works for me, so for instance, last night we crashed out about 11 o'clock stage, about 11 o'clock. And I was up at 2:30 this morning, had coffee, was in my studio writing. I like to watch the sun come up. I spent 25 years making sure I could get in my bus before the sun came up. So now when I'm home, I'm much obliged and I'm in love with watching the sunrise. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a testament to the strength of your long heavy metal marriage that you guys have found a way to not kill each other with kind of opposite sleep schedules. Because my husband, I got married since I saw you last.
Oh, I didn't know. Congratulations.
Thank you. I got married in the driveway in the height of COVID because why not? And he's in the military and he gets up like with the sun and I want to kill him because I don't want to get up with the sun.
Yeah, there's something amazing to it, man. The ancients worship the sun for a reason. So that's just something so beautiful about it. And especially now for me, I had an episode in late 2021 where I contracted COVID and I almost died. And so now there's something special about it. I wake up every day, I see the sun, I say my thank yous to the sun. I take a couple real deep breaths and I get on with the day. So, yeah.
I had to look it up. You and I spent a long time. You were one of the first guests on the show. So I got to thank you because you were on episode 6 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, which came out July 15th of 2020.
Right. Okay.
And in the 3 years, you know, I was off the radio. Now I'm back on the radio in a big way. The podcast is awesome. But you and I talked for over 2 hours. And one of the things we spent a lot of time talking about was the responsibility of marriage and you taking care of Anastasia when she went through her health battle. Who would have guessed that after you and I talked, a year later, she would get her opportunity to nurse you back to health? I'm so glad that you're okay or on the mend.
Thank you. Yeah, we're best friends. I don't put anybody before her. I'm not one of those guys who's like, you know, I have guys' night out, or, you know, the wives are for, I'm Italian, so like the wives are for Friday night, the girlfriends are for Saturday. Like, it doesn't work like that with me. So in 2019, she had to go through cancer surgeries, and I had to tear everything down and just take care of my best friend, which was, you know, hard for the whole family. But she was a trooper, man. I think we were all more down than she was. She was like down here in this room, like daily after going to the hospital and stuff, listening to Donna Summer and stuff. And just like, you know, she was having at it. She was like, hey, I've had a great life. I've raised great kids. If this is it. And I'm like, A, this isn't it. B, wow, I worship this in you. And then, yes, in 2000. And so for people who don't know, in late 2021, after staying away from people for a long time, I went out to my gym to see if I was still signed up there. They said, oh, hey, Dez, good to see you. Yeah, we moved some equipment. Come check it out. I walked around for like 20 minutes, saw some other people, came back home. 48 hours later, I had 104-degree fever. She found me passed out on my living room floor. Cut to a week later, she's driving me into a makeshift hospital where a guy's coming out in a hazmat suit, grabbing me and literally going, take this one first. So I was like, is this it? You know, thank God I started ivermectin. I'll just say that straight now, it saved my life. They put 4 huge antibody shots. Keep in mind, not the virus shots, but the antibody shots in my stomach. It was really not good. So it left me with heart problems. It left me where I couldn't even walk across my street to get my mail without sitting down for 10 minutes, man. So I had to take all of 2022 off, and without her, it's hard to talk about. Without her, I would have never made it out. So I had to live downstairs in my living room for about 8 or 9 months. She would walk me up one house and one house back, and the next day see if we could walk 2 houses. And no, we can't. Let's walk back up one house. I got from that to I can walk on a treadmill for a mile. I got to that over a course of 14 months. I got to a place where I could run 5 miles. Now I said, buy me a sauna suit. And she's like, man, they left you with heart problems. Like, I'm not going to have this. I said, buy me a sauna suit. So then I went to a point where I could run 5 miles in a sauna suit, which was insane, and sing the set at the same time, the DevilDriver set. That's when I knew, okay, I can tour. So what happens is with COVID, I smoke cannabis at night. So it stopped it from going into my lungs. So you can Google this. It stops what's called cytokine storms. So if you smoke cannabis, it really won't, it should not go attack your lungs, but it attacked my heart. And it left me with heart problems where my doctor was like, listen, I need to get you in for open heart surgery, and I need you in next week. And I'm like, this is the way this is going? Like, this is not how this is going. So I told him, no, you're not going to open me up. I'll see you in like 2 months. I'm going to handle this holistically. I'm a hippie. I do meditation, yoga, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, let me be honest with you. If you come back here in 2 months, I'll be surprised. So if you're back here and you're alive in 2 months, I'll see you. So what I did is I'm not a doctor, so I'm not prescribing this, but what I did is I went online. I found a medication from India, and it was something that you made. So it's fresh turmeric, fresh garlic, fresh ginger, apple cider vinegar, honey, and cinnamon. You take all these fresh ingredients, you peel them all out, you mash them all together in a blender, you put it in a huge pot, you boil it way down, you put it in small 6 ounces jars, and you drink it every day on an empty stomach. And I drank it religiously for like 2 months. I went back in. They shot nuclear dye into me, put me in a huge machine, doing all this, heart stuff, looking at my heart. And he came back in with the first smile that I seen this guy have in months. And he's like, I don't know what you did, man. He's like, but you cleared your heart. You have a small bit of inflammation in the lower part of your heart. So I just want you to stay off long, high plane flights for now. If you got to take a quick pedal jumper, I understand, but stay off of real long plane flights. And then I looked at him and I realized, I was like, Doc, I was like, you're from India, right? You're Indian. He's like, yeah, from India. I'm like, I drank this mix. This is what I did. This is what cleared my heart out. You may want to tell your patients, And he goes, oh, my wife and my sister drink that all the time. And I go, bro, you couldn't tell me? Like, you couldn't tell me? And he goes, no, I'd lose my license. So I lost my faith in Western medicine during that time. Now, when Anastasia had to go in for her surgeries for cancer, I mean, I had a lot of faith in Western medicine. The doctors saved their lives. I mean, they wheeled her in playing Nirvana, which was, I thought was, I was like, A, she's a little goth girl. So I don't even know, if she's a, Nirvana fan. Are you even a Nirvana fan, Anastasia? Okay. I love Nirvanas. I never got bit by the Nirvana.
She does now. If she didn't before, she loves them now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the story behind that. And so every day I'm up, it's like, I'm up, I watch the sun, I give my wife a kiss. I try to do something good for somebody around me. I try to like really take advantage of this life, And
I had just had this conversation with somebody because they were talking about like dreading a birthday.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a near death experience like what you're talking about with COVID. But unfortunately, and I think when you get to you and I's age, especially in the industry we work in, we're going to lose friends early. And it
I mean, like when you're in your 30s, like you and me, when we're in our 30s.
Oh, we were bulletproof. Bulletproof.
Yeah.
What do you mean? But I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, like the older I get, I realize that aging is a gift.
Oh, yeah.
That not everybody gets. And I really, especially since I turned 50, which, that was a little bit of a realization, right? But I look at it like, what an honor and a privilege that not everybody gets, that you get to get old.
And here's the thing, like, I think with our generation, like, first of all, you look like you're in your late 30s.
Aww.
So I spent, not last night, but the night before, out bombing hills on my skateboard with my sons. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's our generation it's a different story. Like when I was younger and my grandparents were in their 50s, they were done. I mean, done. And my wife had to call me the other night and be like, hey, it's 10:30 at night. Are you coming home? And I'm like, yeah, we got, we're going to skate home. We'll be home in a minute, So there's just something about, and here's another thing, man, like, I don't want to celebrate my birthday. It's like, to be honest with you, I don't even know if the ancients celebrated their birthdays, right? I don't really do that thing. Oh, today I'm 38. Today I'm 42. Like, I don't really celebrate the birthday thing. I really don't. So maybe if you just stop doing that, you'll start going back in age. I mean, who knows, And then you got to pick up stuff that you used to do when you were a kid, Like, I mean, I told Anastasia, I'll know I'm done when I can't. We have a huge hill by our house. And I said, I'll know I'm done when I can't bomb that hill that most 20-year-old kids won't do, And so every year for my birthday, that's what I do. I get on a longboard and I go bomb this hill that could have me end up in the hospital at critical, you know what I mean? Every time I do it. And I'm like, all right, I'm good. All right, I did that this year. That's my celebration to myself,
I go skydiving.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
you can't, it's that you shouldn't.
Yeah, Anastasia said it's not that you can't, it's that you shouldn't. You hear her?
Oh, I heard her.
Hilarious. So I think, look, don't think of age as a number. I mean, unless you can't walk or you can't see anymore, you can't hear. I mean, I only have 50% hearing in my left ear because I've given my life to music, but that's what it is, right? So
I had a long conversation with Kevin Martin from Candlebox about this topic. And have you heard of the Brimley Cocoon Line? Have you ever heard of this thing?
No, what? What is it?
Because it goes back to what you're talking about our parents' generation. So you remember that movie Cocoon, right, with Wilford Brimley?
Yeah.
When Wilford Brimley starred in that movie, when Cocoon came out in theaters, Wilford Brimley, the guy that was cast as the grandpa, was 18,530 days old, which meant he was 50 years, 9 months, and 6 days old. And he looked like Wilford Brimley in Cocoon. You remember him, the old guy with the mustache, looked like a damn walrus.
Yeah.
So it's called crossing the Brimley Cocoon Line when you hit 18,530 days old. And there's a Twitter feed when people cross the Brimley Cocoon Line. People like J-Lo, right? I'm going to cross the Brimley Cocoon Line this summer. But if you look, like the Golden Girls were in their 50s. Old age is different than it was a generation or two ago. It's just looked at completely different. Our generation refuses to get old.
No, if I had to go to the mall to go to Lens Crafters or something and pick up contacts or whatever.
Gotta get your readers.
I'm in Zoomies buying skate decks, or I'm in Vans buying. It's just not. It's not going to change for me until it makes me change, right? And so, it's part of the reason I waited till 2023 to get back on tour behind Dealing with Demons 2 is I wanted to make sure I could do it. I have 110% tattooed on my knuckles, and I wanted to make sure I could do it at 110%. You've seen me since I was a kid on stage, and I was like, unless I can do it the way that I do it, I'm not going to do it. So I think just, and then watch your health. I stopped drinking in October 2016. I stopped all alcohol. That will age you quicker than anything. Those late night booze sessions and hungover days are way in the past for me. I laugh now. When dudes are like, bro, I wish I could come over, but I'm so hungover. I'm like, yeah. And you did it to yourself. Awesome. Yeah. So
dude, just a few weeks ago, I just had this conversation. Just a few weeks ago, I stood at the finish line of the Boston Marathon and cheered on John Connolly from Seven Dust, who ran it like a fucking beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had a conversation about how those 24 Seven Dust days are just long gone.
Yeah, no, man. I just came across something. I don't know. They just played somewhere. And obviously I follow the LJ, and I like those guys a lot. I've known them forever. And I just saw something of them on stage, and man, it's like they never missed a beat. I got so much admiration for guys over 40 doing it the right way, and don't get me wrong. I don't know how long I'm going to stay, as long as I have something to offer. And as long as records start getting like Dealing with Demons 2 right now is getting insane reviews, shit that doesn't happen on a fucking 10th record, to be honest with you.
I just was reading some of them online that people are saying 20 years later, the band is better than ever.
It's fucking unbelievable. I'm speaking to a guy in Germany, and Germany is so hard to win over. I don't even want to go into it. Talk to every musician that you talk to about Germany. Very hard to win over. Kind of like Texas. If you win over Texas, you're good to go. And this guy said to me just 2 days ago, said, Dez, I got to be honest with you. This is the best record you guys have ever done. And I said, okay. The bottom line is if you get 2 to 4 years in this business, it's a miracle. If you get 5 to 7 years, 3-4 records, get on your knees until they bleed with blessings. But if you have a 28, 29, 30-year career like me, 10 records with DevilDriver, 5, 6, counting different, best subs or whatever with Coal Chamber, I don't know what to say. I wake up every day humble, grateful, appreciative. There's not a time someone doesn't stop me, this morning actually in Ralph's grocery store. Can I have a photo? I'm like, yeah, let me put my almond milk down. You know what I mean? Let's take a photo. And I think that, I don't know, man. We're on our 10th record. The reviews are insane right now. I'm really at the top of the world with this thing right now. It's great. Only because I got to tell you that these records were done and in the can in 2020. And they're supposed to come out back to back, a year apart. And they're very short for a reason, 36, 38 minutes. It's a short record. They're meant to be listened to together. We're supposed to come out back to back. And that's not what the universe had in plan for me. And so this record has been on ice for 2 years, 2.5 years.
And there's nothing that you would go back and change.
No, nothing. And a matter of fact, first time in my career, I changed the sequence to volume 2 3 times. The guy that was mastering my record finally called me on the phone and was like, bro, you can't do this to me again. Like, it takes 4 hours to resequence. And I said, listen, Dealing with Demons 2, I want to open it with I Have No Pity. Make the change. I promise you it'll be my last. And Anastasia actually had to get on the phone with him and promise him it would be my last. So, and it was my last change, thankfully. so thank you, Alan. Alan Duche. He's mastered some of the biggest records of all time. And so, yeah, that's where that is. So,
well, you kind of answered this question, but I ask a lot of musicians this question. Is it harder, talking about the music business and a record deal and all that, is it harder to get in or stay in? What do you think?
Both. I think both. I think you got to be tremendously good. You used to be able to be good and pack your local club out. Now you're going to get a record deal. That's not the way it goes anymore. You could be good, pack your local club out, 500 people every time you play, and no one cares because on Instagram you have 200 followers. On Facebook you got 1,000 followers. And I think that's ridiculous. We as a management company and a lot of the labels that I actually deal with, I don't look at that. When an artist comes to me, I don't look at that at all. You know, I just don't. And so it's very hard to enter, but I think staying in it with the climate being what it is and internet warriors being what they are, you're lucky if you get 2 to 4 years. I mean, I've seen it with a ton of bands. I could name 5, 6 bands right now. And everybody's like, have you heard of them? Yeah, I have. Their second record comes out. Have you heard the second record? It's amazing. Yes, I have. Record 3, they're done. Right? They've broken up. They've this, they've that. Their scene has died out, what have you. You know, so it's not only difficult to get in, I think it's difficult to stay in. And when you see survivors, and when I say that, it could be anybody from Metallica to even Seven Dust. When you see survivors of the music industry, that's when you know they've done something right, but they've also definitely had the blessing of the wind behind their back.
We spent a lot of time talking about your battle with COVID and getting your health back. And if you're going to find a silver lining to that, go into what we're talking about now, could you ever have imagined a time that you thought Coal Chamber was going to get back together and go out on the road the way that they are now, if it wasn't for you being so sick and this kind of just happening?
Yeah. I mean, I say this all the time, when we released Rivals like 10, 11 years ago, we were way too early. Nu metal was not coming back at that time. Like we were bucking the system. I say now, if we were to release Rivals now, that record would have blown up. And during that time, I was still drinking. They were still partying. And nothing had changed. We went on the road. We had a good time. But it just wasn't for me. I wanted to go back to DevilDriver, which is my girl. And I just wanted to go back to my girl. And what happened was, Anastasia, for those listening, watching, what happened was when I was actually saying goodbyes and telling my wife I love her and telling my kids I love them and telling her, like, don't sell my 1978 Cadillac that I actually have from the movie Casino. Like, you better get 4 plots and bury me in it. Right? Like, literally those kind of conversations. I mean, she called them. She called some other people around me, but she called Meigs and Mike and Nadia and said, you better call Dez now because I don't know. Like, even right now, he's laying here screaming in pain. The migraines are so insane. I mean, at one point I was like, get me out of this. Like, I'm willing to take myself out if this is what it's going to be like. I mean, but I just held in. She was like, we're going to do this. We're going to get you back on stage. All I want to do is get back on stage one more time and sing one more song. That's all. So she's like, let's focus on that. So she called them. They called me daily for a year before we ever decided to do shows. Finally, somebody, I think it was Mike or maybe both of them, said, hey, should we do a show? And I said, we're such good friends right now. You guys have your shit together. I have my shit together. Not that I didn't, but even more so, I got my shit together. I would rather be friends with you guys than blow that. And they went, no, man, let's do a couple shows. So here we go. We got the Sick New World offer. We're going to play Incarceration. We're going to do Blue Ridge. And I was like, that's it. We're going to do 3 shows this year. Let's bring our families out. Mike, you bring your wife and your kid. Meegs has his daughter out, his wife, my wife. I mean, it's like a huge family affair now. And then we got the call from Mudvayne, and they said July, August, 18 to 25,000 seat amphitheaters, which I thought was incredibly ambitious. I was in. I'm always in for that, right? Right.
Well, you're talking about new metal being back. They're another perfect example of these bands. And what cracks me up, and you'll appreciate this because we've been friends since the beginning of both of our careers.
True.
I had an idea that this kind of musical cycle was coming back around because I'd be out at shows or just online even posting up old pictures because I got super sentimental after AAF went off the air, started digging through literal photographs that I had to scan to be able to post online.
Yeah.
And I started getting these comments from quote unquote kids that weren't old enough to see the mid to late 90s shows that you and I were smack dab in the middle of it. The way that like our generation was like, you saw Zeppelin? Like, what? And all of a sudden people started going, wait, you were at Woodstock 99? Wait, you were at the Oz? And then they started seeing these pictures of me with the original lineups of Coal Chamber and Deftones and Seven Dust and Lincoln. And they're like, Rage Against the Machine. And I was like, oh my God, this new generation is going to go back and rediscover this music. And it's back bigger than ever. It's insane.
It is, man. It is. I mean, I see it all the time. Where were we the other day? We dropped in somewhere to get my youngest some food or whatever. And this kid comes in. I mean, he's 14, man. I mean, the kid was 14 years old, and he's wearing a fucking Korn shirt. And I was like, that is so badass. I said to my wife, that is so badass. And I mean, I even see it. It's strange enough. I even see it on the last DevilDriver tour. We went out with Cradle of Filth and DevilDriver did a co-headline run. And I kept it on the West Coast, very short run, make sure my health was good, all of that, right? We just got home. We've been home like, I want to think 3 weeks or something like that. And 3 to 4 weeks. And our fan base, I'm looking in the audience and I'm getting off stage and I go down stage. Did you see the front row? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, they're 18. They're 17. They're 21. Like there's a couple guys in the back that are 40. Like I've been following this band forever, but the crowd is young. It's insane. So look, everything comes back around. I have 3 sisters, and I remember my mom always saying, don't get rid of your tall boots. Don't get rid of your whatever, because fashions come around. Like I was raised with that with them. Mom, I don't want to wear this anymore. Put it in your closet. Trust me, it's going to come around 5-10 years from now. And it's true. Then it's the same thing with music. And if you look at the biggest bands on the planet, like really look at them, Disturbed. I mean, they were the later half of the new metal thing, the radio new metal later half, right? But they're
Rage
huge.
Against the Machine could get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What?
Huge. Deftones, Korn. I mean, they're all massive, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see that genre, and that genre went through some pain, man. There was a time when new metal was just not a good word, and I held true to myself. I was like, whatever. I'm so proud of what I've done. Like I've never backed away from it. People are like, oh, you left Coal Chamber to start DevilDriver because you knew new metal was dying. It's like, what? I left at the height of my career. I had my own tour bus. I'm not even going to disclose the kind of money I was making weekly, let alone the royalties. No, I left because the band we weren't getting along. It was time to leave, man. I had a wife and 2 young kids at home, and I wanted to start something new and fresh and heavier and more groovy and this and that. So no, it's good to see it coming back around because it had a dirty stink on it for a minute, where even some of the bands now that came out that are very plainly new metal are like, we're not new metal. It's like, shut the fuck up. Yes, you are. Are you kidding me? You were leading the charge for everything, right? I mean, I don't know if people remember, but I mean, back in the day, the bands that did come out first were like Korn, Deftones, Coal Chamber. Everything else came out second. Static, System, Disturbed, Limp Bizkit. Like that was all the second wave. It's awesome to see it coming back around. It is, because some of those bands for me are the best bands on the planet. And we talk about a band like the Deftones. I mean, you're talking about an incredible fucking music project, man, you know? So it's awesome to A, see those bands still going, B, see it come back around. And now, like with Sick New World Fest, which I leave for in, I don't even know what date it is, but like 12 years. I mean, 12 days, 12, 13 days from now or whatever. You know what I mean? 12 years. I need more coffee.
Well, you know what's crazy? Since you and I saw each other last, I told you I got married. I also became the bonus mom to 2 teenagers now.
Oh, awesome.
And so you and I have had a lot of conversations about your kids, and now I have a 14-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter, and I'm like, what is going on?
Let me give you some advice.
Please, hold on. Let me take a sip of my coffee, too, and buckle up for this one.
Yeah, this is green tea, right? It's tasty, actually. That's good, Anastasia.
I can tell you guys have been married for 1,000 years because, like, you can't get through a thought without checking with her on something.
I don't go anywhere without her either. I don't go, like now it's my bunk on the bus and hers. I don't go anywhere without her. I won't do anything without her. If I got to go alone, I cancel. That's all there is to it, because I'm not spending 1 minute away from her. She stayed home for 20 years raising the kids while I was on a tour bus, you know, riding on top of the tour bus at 70 miles an hour, drunk off of whiskey. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not leaving her. But what'd you say? Yeah, hilarious. I mean, here's my advice to you, right? I have 3 sons. I've never yelled at them. I've grounded one of them once. I've never struck them once. They never even got a spanking when they were younger, ever. Be friends with your teenager. The minute you try to be a parent and like, I want to be a parent, you better look up to me. It's like, you've lost the battle, man. So I'm best friends with my kids. My sons are best friends with me. My youngest, who's 25, just came out on tour with me. He's a singer. He sound checked for me every day. He sounds exactly like me. Actually better. He can sing clean, way better than I can, to be honest with you. My middle son, Caleb, runs my company, Sun Cult, is actually a manager here and an assistant here, and he knows business like nobody else's business. He's on time, prompt, more professional than any. He's like a 50-year-old man stuck in a 28-year-old body. and it's like, be friends with your teenagers and be fun with them and laugh with them. The minute you try to be like, you know, hey, don't cut up at the dinner table. You know, the minute you try to, like, that's how I was raised. Like, I got my ass beat. I got my ass handed to me by so many stepfathers. I can't even like, my ass beat, handed to me. And I said, I'm breaking the chain. I'm never doing that with my kids ever. I mean, of course. And usually a parent was like, well, they need to fear me. It's like, what, are you fucking insane? Like, you have a dog, right? Yeah. Does your dog fear you? No, he comes right up to me. He loves me. Of course. Why the fuck would you want your kids to fear you? You want your kids' friends to fear you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wanted their teachers to fear me. Like, when their teachers fucked with them, I would go, oh, yeah, I'm coming to the PTA meeting. And I'm coming.
I would have given any amount of money to see Dez walk into the PTA meeting.
Oh, bro. My middle son, Caleb, he probably won't like me telling the story, but they called me 3 days before he's going to graduate high school. The kid got great grades. He just fucked up on one class because he hated it. It is what it is. It is fucking what it is. And they called me. It's like, oh, we don't know if he's going to graduate. 5 minutes later, I was down there in a fucking cut off black t-shirt with tattoos all over my face, in the principal's face, going, you have a fucking problem. And he's like, no, you have a problem. I go, no, you are going to have a big problem. Because if you don't let my kid walk down the aisle, this shit's about ready to get street. And he's like, oh, are you threatening me? I go, bro, take it to however the fuck you want. Like, I'm Italian. This is the way that it fucking goes. You better fucking listen to what I have to say right now. You know,
the non-Italians don't understand. It's to the core. It's to our marrow. You and I can't, and I try to have this conversation with my husband all the time. I wish that I was one of those people that was able to be stoic and hide how I'm feeling. And I can't. It bubbles out of me like a volcano. I can't. If I'm happy, you can hear my laugh from a mile away. And if I'm mad, you can hear my anger from a mile away. I envy people that can keep their emotions in check, because I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I can. Don't get me wrong. around certain people, I'm very stoic, and I'm the last one to talk in a room. So you got to fear that person.
Yeah.
The guy who's the last one to talk, fear him, watch him closely. But if you're going to mess with my family, if you're going to mess with my kids, you're going to try to fuck with my wife, and especially in business, doing in Oracle management. I've only had one time in 7 years. I actually had to call somebody and said, next time you talk down to her on the phone, I'm going to come to your fucking office. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to call the cops on myself. I'm going to stay 2 nights in jail, eat a bologna sandwich and a couple push-ups, but you're going to go to the fucking hospital. So that's it. But I think that's the way that life should be, right? Look, be loving, be giving, have charity and love in your heart, always do good by people, never fucking carry ego or hate or any of this around ever. But if someone fucks with your family, fucks with your kids, fucks with your wife, fucks with your means, that's it.
You don't fuck with the money, baby.
Then you're going to come unhinged. You know what I mean? Then I'm going to come unhinged on you. You know, luckily I haven't had to be put in too many of those spots really in business, because most people want to stay professional.
Well, for me, I get to be the fun mom because I'm the bonus mom. So it's like I, that whole thing that you're talking about, like, I don't have a choice but to be like the friend. I'm the fun mom. I'm not the one that has to ground anybody. I'm the purple-haired stepmom that gets to take them to concerts.
Yeah. And what you say is, look, do me a favor. You ever want to talk to me? Come talk to me.
Yeah.
You ever really got something you're going through? Don't feel like you got to go through it by yourself. We're a family. We're familia here. So just come home, meet with the family. There's nothing we can't take care of. 2 rules. Never let anybody outside the family know what you're thinking. And that comes from a movie everybody may know. And second, always come to the family with your problems. No one can solve it harder than we can. And number 3, don't share all your happinesses with all your friends and everybody, because nobody gives a fuck about your wins or your happinesses besides your family, your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters. Everybody else is going to be jealous and just look at you fucking cross-eyed and want what you have. So those are the 3 rules I've raised my sons with, and they're great kids. They're amazing, outstanding young men that I'm proud of every day. I mean, they're actually at the gym together right now, working out. So,
You can appreciate this. I've realized I have created monsters, though, because those kids have never walked in the front door of a concert hall. They've never scanned their ticket. They've never had to go through. They think it's normal to hang out with the bands in the dressing rooms. And I said to my husband, I'm like, this is going to come back to haunt us, Like we're starting something we're not going to be able to stop.
It came back to haunt me. I put my kid in the Clouds Over California video, my youngest, and I put him on a record that year. Actually, at 9 years old, he guested with me. And he had that voice at 9 to guest with me. And now it's like I listen to him and it's me. It's a chip off the old. I mean, it's unbelievable. He went on tour with me, and every day he went and sound checked 2, 3, 4 songs. They're all over YouTube. For me, because I never sound check. It blows my voice out. Some singers like to sound check. I hate it. Ruins my voice for the show, to be honest with you. And he sound checked, and I'm like, it's unbelievable. It's like listening to myself, except the kid is, half my age. So, yeah, it may come back to haunt you for sure. And then all of a sudden, it's like, for Christmas, I want a guitar. You're like, oh God.
No, my stepson was like, I really want to check out your studio because I think I want to get into podcasting. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to lose my job to this kid.
You know what you do? You have them on the podcast and have them lead the situation for a guest or so, or side by side with you. Next thing you know, I mean, who knows what could happen?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he's getting a call from Fox News or whatever, and they're offering him $2 million a year. I mean, you never know how it's going to go down. You know what I mean?
Do you have musical ability in the family before you? Do you think your son got it from you, and where did it come from?
No, my father is I wasn't raised with him, but my father's a very well-known actor. I mean, he was Tooey on Leave It to Beaver. Actually, my uncle was Whitey on Leave It to Beaver. My father, Dez Fafara, if you go to his IMDb, it's insane the things that he's done. But I used to hear him sing in church when I would go to his house and go to church with him. But other than that, I think the ability that came from me growing up on punk rock and psychobilly and new wave, and I wanted to be a singer. When I was 14 to 16 years old, and this is coming out all in my autobiography that's coming out this year on Rarebird. But I was a drummer in a psychobilly band from the time I was 14 to about 16, 17 years old. And then after that, I realized I really don't want to be behind everybody and watching everybody's ass. Like, it's not.
There are a lot of great frontmen in rock and roll that started out behind the drum kit and were like, this view back here sucks.
That's exactly. Somebody said to me the other day about their drummers, and we were having a conversation. It was a singer I was speaking with. It's like, my drummer is just always so salty. And I said, it's because they're looking at your ass every night.
All night long.
And you got to love that job because you're loading in your shit. You're loading it out. Like, you got to love that job. I've been fortunate to have some great drummers around me in the bands that I've had. So I just wanted to move on, so I don't know. I think that ability just comes from my love of music. I mean, Carrie, I swear to God, me and my wife have probably watched TV 2 hours in the last year. We just don't. We're not even like, we'll watch a movie maybe once a week, but we're writing, we're working on our businesses. We're painting together. We both paint, we both sculpt, go to a pottery studio and sculpt. Like, we're both artists. And so, I just think that art has come from my family. I have a lot of other family members on my father's side as well that are like, they're writers for movies. Like, one of them wrote Baskets and a bunch of other really killer stuff. And then they're costume designers for movies. And we're costume designers like in the 60s and 70s and stuff like that as well. So I think there's artistic side that runs in my family, but the music side, actually, my dad's brother, Stanley, who was Whitey on Leave It to Beaver, was an incredible drummer. Actually, the drummer, John Krupa.
Yeah.
Gene Krupa actually told Stan that at a young age that he was one of the best drummers he ever saw. So I guess maybe right there.
There is a little genetic component to it.
Went out and work it out with you. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
I got to ask you this question, and it's something that didn't come up on the show until long after I had you on the first time. And now I ask every songwriter this question. Can you give me an example of a song, and this is a craft question, that you think is so perfectly crafted that you wish you wrote it? Doesn't matter the genre, doesn't matter the artist, but then you got to break it.
Hell's Bells.
I didn't even get the question out. Tell me why.
Hell's Bells by AC/DC. First of all, I think Back in Black is like the most perfect record ever written. Like, ever. And we can go back and talk about Bon Scott and everything else, but it's just like the most perfect record ever written.
And the most unlikely record, right? Bon Scott dies. 5 months later, AC/DC has a new singer and the greatest album of their career and one of the greatest rock albums ever. It's so
of all time.
Crazy.
Of all time. Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this or watching this and you're 15 years old and you think AC/DC is old and you never heard it, go put on Back in Black and you'll see what I'm talking about. So the song is crafted well, has those intros with the bells. It's not too long. It's not too short. Chorus comes in quick enough. The verses are like, I mean, I got goosebumps actually on my arms right now because the verses are insane. I'm roaring thunder, pouring rain. It's like, then you're like, okay, I'm in. But then he's like, I'm coming on like a hurricane. You're like, white lightning's flashing across the sky. And you're like, okay, I don't even know what to say here. Right? You're only young, but you're gonna die. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I got goosebumps on my arms right now. For real. Like, so yeah, the perfect. Yeah. And one of my favorite bands of all time. They don't even fit in with anything.
Yeah, and they've influenced everybody.
Yeah, what'd you say, Anastasia?
Nothing is being stupid.
Oh, okay. It's good. Yeah, I mean, and actually what she just said was like, yeah, and we listen to that song at nauseum sometime because, yeah, it's true. Like, if I'm gardening outside, which I have a big property, we go out and garden or whatever, I'm like, she wants to listen to something peaceful. I'm like, fuck that, man. Put on AC/DC. Let's go.
Let's tomatoes need AC/DC.
Hey, it's either that or Jerry Vale for me, but I'm Italian, so I don't know what to say. I'm either listening to Sinatra, Dean Martin, or Jerry Vale, and my kids, same thing. I remember a couple of years ago when my middle son, Caleb, he's 28 now, was like 22, 23 years old, and he was in his car getting ready to go golfing. So he's already an old mindset, and he was with his friends, and he was listening to Sinatra. And his friend's like, man, turn this off. Fucking put on some rap or put on whatever. Bro, he pulled over, and he's like, get out. And they're like, what? We're all on the way to go golfing. He's like, get out. This is my music. This is my family's music. And he put back on Sinatra and drove the rest of the way to the golf course with them. So music has a lot of impact here over in this house for sure, you know?
Brent Smith from Shinedown told me this great story about Michael Beinhorn bringing all the Sinatra records to Chris Cornell when he was working on the album and told Cornell, listen to all these Sinatra records. And that's when Cornell wrote Black Hole Sun.
No way. Whoa, fuck.
And he said, go back and Michael Beinhorn, who produced the record, told Brent Smith this story. And if you go back and listen to it now, it's a crooner song. And I never listened to it that way until Brent told me that story. It's crazy.
Chris vocally, I mean, I heard this thing about Chris vocally that he made up his own tuning, that he was in between sharp and flat. He was in between notes, but that was his vocal style. And it was the best. I mean, go back and listen to Bad Motorfinger, man, and tell me that's not one of the best records of all time.
And literally, we were talking about Rage. There's another band getting nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, good for them. They deserve it for sure. For sure. They don't play enough gigs for me to, I know they deserve it, but they should be, how many times have they played in the last 20 years? Like 5? I mean.
Oh, who? Rage, you mean?
Rage.
Oh, no, I was talking about Soundgarden.
Oh, Soundgarden. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Well, forget about it. That guy's voice. I mean, that band, look, grunge never hit me. Like I get it. Don't get me wrong. And I've met Eddie Vedder, great guy. I respect him. I've met, obviously, members of Nirvana. I never got to meet Kurt before he passed away. I never really got it. I never got into Hole. I never got into whatever. What's the kid in the bee costume?
Oh, Blind Melon.
Yeah, I never got into that. I never, that just never, that never hit me.
I was always on the Soundgarden, Alice in Chains side of grunge because to me they were metal bands. Yeah.
That was a daily thing with me in my apartment in Hollywood. Daily, those records would go down. So some music hits you and some music don't,
Hey, did you listen to that Mark Tremonti Sinatra record that he did for charity?
I heard one song and I paid for it immediately.
It's raised over $1 million for charity, he's told me, which is unbelievable.
That dude, I can't even believe how hard he killed it. It made me want to do it. I mean, me and my wife, remember when we listened to that, Anastasia? Mark Tremonti?
I do.
Doing Sinatra?
I remember it got a little romantic.
Oh, yeah. It may have got a little romantic with us.
Oh, snap. And he had to do it with...
It may have got a little romantic. You may want to tell Mark, I think we may have fucked to those tunes.
And to do it with Sinatra's band, like, talk about nerves.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. And the balls. I mean... coming from an Italian, the fucking balls of this kid.
Yeah, and you can only say it with the hand gesture.
Yeah, the fucking balls of this kid. What does he think he can do? And he killed it. Absolutely killed it. I would love to, I don't know if I've ever met Mark. I don't think I've ever met Mark.
He's one of the nicest guys in rock and roll. You'd love him.
Yeah, good. I like guys with talent and no ego. I mean, you know me, Carrie, for a very long time. I'm very private. I'm probably one of the most private guys in the business, to be honest with you. And it's why I'm putting out the autobiography, because it's like people don't know anything about me. I rarely say what songs are about, And I don't know. I'd love to meet that dude and then tell him what a badass job he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I talked to him about it, and he was like, I always wanted to do it. And then when I had the chance to not only record it with Sinatra's band, but then he took the pictures for the record in Sinatra's dressing room in Vegas. And he was just like, holy shit.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. And he killed it too. He slayed it.
Yeah.
He's got a great voice, man. I watched some live stuff of him doing it, and yeah, he didn't miss a beat. So yeah, if you talk to him, tell him I love it.
I will. I may not include all of the extracurricular activities that took place while you were listening to it. I'll let you tell him that story.
Look, man, that's what keeps a marriage together. My kids are constantly embarrassed because their parents are fucking 3 times a day after 25 years of marriage.
My husband's going to listen to this interview and be like, "Oh, really, Carrie? 3 times? You need to get on it."
My son is actually putting his fingers in his ears right now.
Hey, before I let you go, I got to ask you this question. I call it the Geezer Butler question now because when I talked to Geezer, he started talking about his pets, which I didn't realize he had 13 cats and 5 dogs.
Okay.
But then Geezer Butler dropped the hammer and told me that him and his wife name all their pets after gangster rappers, and I almost fell off the floor.
Amazing.
I literally would not have expected that. And like, you could have shot me in the chest and it would have affected me less. I couldn't stop laughing. So now I call it the Geezer Butler question. So you got to tell me about your pets and you got to tell me where their names came from and blame Geezer.
Okay. First of all, I love Geezer. He's always been so cool to me. So is Iomi. And then obviously I've got, close ties to Ozzy over the years. So, and I thank him for helping me, give me a career, actually Ozzy doing Shock the Monkey back in the day. So we have 6 cats. All are rescue except one. Our Maine Coon is the only one that's not a rescue because he comes from a championship line and stuff. He's actually only been here for about 3 or 4 weeks. And he's a kitten, but he looks like he's grown. He's huge. He's going to be, he's be 23 pounds or whatever. So we have a thing here where we actually kind of make fun. How do you say it, Anastasia? We kind of make fun of the people who buy brand name shit, right? Like, I've got to wear Gucci. I've got to wear Prada. I've got to wear Chanel. I've got to wear Louis Vuitton. Like, that's all I wear. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm Italian and I only wear Fila. And I've got about 10 Fila tracksuits. So
true story.
So true story. Anastasia buys me about 3 or 4 a year. So our cats' names are, the Maine Coon is Louis Vuitton. One of the rescues is Chanel. She's a female. The other, Chanel. Yeah, we call her Coco, Chanel. The other rescue is Prada, and she's a female. The one cat that's a rescue only because I came out my door one evening and she was a tiny kitten starving. She literally ran up to me and jumped in my arms, which I proceeded to cry immediately and turned to Anastasia like, "I'm keeping her." She goes, "Of course you are." Her name is Shiva. Because I follow a guy named Sadhguru and I meditate and I really like Indian food and Indian music, and I love Indian food. Actually, if my last meal would be curry, to be honest with you. Not spaghetti, which I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Man, the balls on you." Who am I missing? Oh, Prada, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Shiva. And then we had Gucci, who actually recently passed. We rescued him as a kitten and he only made it like 4 or 5 months. He was terrible off and we tried to keep him, but we had Gucci. So that's wise. Cause I make terrible fun of people who are like, I'm like, you just spent $5,000 on that purse and it's sitting on the floor in this restaurant. Like, you could have put that in a college fund for your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm a black t-shirt guy or I'm in Fila everywhere I go, to be honest with you. If I'm off tour, I'm dressing and looking very Italian anywhere I go, I'm not dressing.
Go ahead.
If I'm going to dinner or whatever, I'm definitely in Fila.
How hot can you eat Indian food?
Vindaloo, which is the hottest, is my favorite.
Oh,
I love it. I don't know what it is, man. And plus I was vegan for a very, very long time, like 12 years, 13 years, when it was not like popular to be vegan.
Not easy to be vegan.
Yeah. And what happened was after COVID, I had several heart doctors be like, this vegan thing is going to kill you. Like, you have to go back to eating grass-fed steak or chicken once in a while. And certainly be a lot of people may be pissed at me. If you're vegan, you're going to hear this, because I love animals. I don't want to kill animals either. I'd rather hug a cow than watch it die for my steak. But when I started eating a little bit of chicken or a little bit of beef, actually it started to heal my body. I actually came out of COVID quicker. I had several months, probably 4 or 5 months, when I wasn't progressing. So I gave into it and said, well, I got to try everything. And I felt better, I would say, a week later after having some animal protein in me. So I know a lot of people are probably going to be pissed, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
I can't believe you can eat it, Vindaloo. Like, I'm sweating just thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, I love hot curry. I love naan bread, garlic naan bread.
Too.
Oh my God, so good. And Joe, I don't know, there's just something about that culture, that meal in itself that I love. I love, you know?
Well, I think any culture that's based on good bread is a good culture.
You know, Italians are based on good bread.
I'm a fifth generation Sicilian baker, baby. Come on.
Nice. Yeah, here, Anastasia doesn't buy loaves of bread. She makes bread. So, right now, actually, there's bread in the oven right now. My kid is just got home from the gym and he's waiting for it. And yeah, she makes bread. She's an insane baker. I do most of the cooking as Italian families go. The guys do most of the cooking, unless it's like the Sunday afternoon or whatever. And every Sunday it's mandatory for my kids to be here at the house between 12 o'clock and 1. And they got a mandatory stay till 3. You can bring your girlfriend, you can be your friends, but you got to be here. And you got to have sauce, because I get up every morning on a Sunday. I make sauce. Don't touch my sauce. Don't stir my sauce. Don't add anything to my sauce. Don't fuck with my sauce.
It's literally like we're brother and sister.
Yeah, but it maybe needs a little more brown sugar. Do me a favor. Don't touch my fucking wooden spoon. You're going to get cracked.
Are you growing tomatoes out back?
We are. Actually, I'll send you some photos. She's got huge tomato plants going right now.
Because I just turned my garden over, because obviously in New England, the season's a little different.
Yeah.
Getting everything ready, getting ready for the tomatoes out there.
Yeah, every year we probably jar about 30, I'd say maybe 30, 40 jars. And I give some to my mama, and my sister and my brother live a block away. They get a couple jars, and then a lot of the jars go in the freezer.
I'm in a crisis right now because I just used my last jar from last year. And there's no tomato sauce in my house right now, and there's a little bit of a panic problem.
Yeah, and I have like a thing too where like every year I try something different. Like this one needs more Roma tomatoes in it. This one needs more, like, let's try to throw these, like, some of these other beefsteak, or let's use some of these pearl tomatoes or whatever. Let's see what we can do. And then I have a thing too where it's like only one basil leaf in the jar. And if you're loading jars with me and you load 2, like I'm in there with my fingers, I told you one leaf, one basil leaf. You don't want this to taste like, when you take it out 4 months from now, you don't want it to taste like basil. But
and it's basil you grew in the backyard.
Yeah, we do. She's got huge basil plants. I love to cook. That's my happy place. So, my band and my crew can attest to this. So on the last tour with Cradle, the very first day was in Arizona, and I got up and cooked breakfast burritos for both buses and crews. So like, I got to constantly keep doing something because I ADD. I can't just sit around. And B, I think people love a good home cooked meal, whether you're on the road or you're home. And I really enjoy cooking, and I've become great at it.
Is that part of the gig with Mudvayne that they're going to have you in the kitchen on the tour?
I don't know. I got to talk to Chad. Definitely. Definitely there'll be some cooking going on that tour. It's going to be summer, right? So we'll definitely have a barbecue out there, and there's nothing like fresh corn and fresh vegetables too on the barbecue in the summertime. Like that's just, for me, that's the best.
Yeah.
And then amphitheaters is going to be great because, we'll have room to do that kind of thing. I'm really looking forward to this tour. I've loved Mudvayne for a long time. Great guys. They had their problems trying to, I guess, get their name back and all sorts of stuff, that they've been through. So it's good to see them come through and get ready to go on this tour with them. It's going to be great. I think amphitheaters is ambitious, but like I said, I love ambitious things. I I tend to take it on, and I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a really fun summer, and people should definitely come out because I don't think Coal Chamber ever toured with Mudvayne. We toured with a lot of bands, Pantera, Black Sabbath.
You guys were never on the Ozfest together?
Maybe on Ozfest, but I mean, never a tour.
Yeah.
Same thing with System. We did shows together, but we never toured together. Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of doing double duty this year because I had 3 years off. Late 2019 to go through Anastasia's cancer stuff, then the pandemic, and then me and my health stuff. And so I've been off for way too long. So I'm doing double duty this year, and I'm having a good time doing it. We're releasing box sets for Coal Chamber that's getting ready to come out. You're the first one to hear that.
Yeah.
Also releasing a huge box set with DevilDriver. First one to hear that.
Yes.
And autobiography, maybe the 7th, 8th to hear that, but that's coming out. That's a hell of a read.
Everybody's told me to write a book about my life. Here's my question, and you're not the first author that I've asked this. How do you get over the first blank page?
Start. That it's with any journey begins with the starting point. Just start. And just, it's a 2-book deal that Anastasia got. So my youth through Coal Chamber, and then the next one is the DevilDriver years, which are insane stories. And this one, it's like, just start. Okay, where do we start? All right, let's start when I was a kid. Let's start when I was a child. All right, well, let's go over some things that happened to you, And then we went from there. I think people are going to get because I am so private and I really haven't talked a lot about this, I think people are going to get a huge glimpse of, where I come from as a person. I left home at an early age. I slept under bridges. I stole food. I went to jail. I can't believe where I'm at right now. I'm in a 5,000 square foot house overlooking a golf course with kids that are raised and classic cars in the driveway. I mean, it's crazy. So, I think just start, Carrie. Just start. Be like, I was born on this date to my mother and father. I grew up loving pasta in the afternoon. Whatever it is, write it. And you'll find that it'll just start pouring out of you. That's the way it was with me. I got to tell some real crazy stories. I've had some, I don't want to say sad, but I've had some sad shit happen in my life. That's the only thing you got to do, right? Is be real and be ready to confront anything that's like that. Like I've had a lot of suicides in my family. I've had a lot of stuff, right? Confront it. And what I found, it's going to sound so arty, but it was so cathartic.
Yeah.
It was one of the most cathartic. The first day that I actually got all the drafts back to me, and I said, okay, this 8 chapters, I'm going to need like 3 hours, whatever, to read. And I sat down and I read it. It was my own story, and I had tears at least 2 or 3 times. And Anastasia was like, you okay? And I said, yeah, this is just, not only did I think I wouldn't be thinking I would tell anybody this shit, but like reading where I come from. And it's like, how the hell am I here? And she's like, honey, you're fucking tenacity. You're a fucking ball breaker. Like, are you kidding me? You fucking on your ball breaker, you bounce back. You're one of the most insanely driven people I know. Please sleep longer than 4 hours one time.
Well, the aforementioned Geezer Butler told me the process of writing his memoir that comes out soon. And he said it was this daunting thing that was always hanging over him, that he felt like anytime he wanted to do something else, he's like, but I should be writing. And he felt so good handing in that draft because he was like, finally he was free to kind of get back to his life again. Yeah.
I mean, it is daunting. I mean, the thing with me is I was like, somebody in an interview the other day, I told him I never look back. Like, that's my thing. That's why, I still, skateboard in my mid 50s. I don't look back. And I said to Anastasia, it's too early, man. This is too early for an autobiography. Like, I should be doing this shit in my late 60s. She's like, what happens if you're not alive? And I'm like, oh shit, I almost died from COVID. And that was just 48 hours. I went from, hey, everything's fine, I'm not going to catch this thing, to 104-degree fever. You're going down. And I realized, yeah, you're right. If there's anything to do, let's do it now. And I actually said to her in the same conversation, that restaurant we haven't been to in like 6 months is like, put on your shoes, we're going. So that's the way that it is. So it's going to be daunting until you start. Once you start, it's going to flow. And then if you find yourself doing mundane bullshit, like watching, I don't know, fucking Frasier on TV for the 10th time, stop, pick up a pen and go write. Because what you'll find is like, once you get 20, maybe 30 pages in, and you're going over your life, and you get to maybe the point when you're 15, 16, 17, it's going to start flowing so hard, you know, and then as well, let me tell you, be as honest as you can with everybody, because it's your story. It's going to live forever. And people want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, I had a lot of people I could actually go after in this for stealing money from me or whatever throughout my life. I didn't. I didn't. I actually painted a different picture of their good parts or what have you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's another thing. Try not to go after anybody. Try to like do your life, but don't use it as a fucking vendetta, is what my co-writer actually said. Because I was telling a story one time, and he stopped me, and he's like, because we co-wrote, and he stopped me and he goes, "You want to tell this story?" And I go, "Why?" He goes, "It seems like you're fucking awful salty." And I said, "Yeah, well, I'm missing a lot of fucking money, and this person, da da da." He goes, "Let's not go down that road, homie. You don't want to use your book as a fucking knife. Yeah. Don't use it as a weapon." And I went, "Oh my God, that's one of the best things." And so there was more stories like that, but we never even brought it up. We just went for it. So yeah, just start, and then do what I do with writing music, which is like, I force myself. I just say, that's it. I know between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm done with business for a minute. Most people go to lunch. I'm running management companies and huge clothing lines that are in the mall and whatever. Okay. Between 2 and 3, don't fuck with me. Excuse the coal chamber pun. Don't fuck with me. It's actually the lyrics are from Loco, for those of you who don't know. So, and so, yeah, I would go in and I would write, and I would just write. So I think you need to do the same thing. It's just get in and write.
Well, you talk about how COVID affected you. And since I talked to you last, they say this thing kind of goes after parts of you. And I found out my mom had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and then she got COVID.
Be careful.
And she never came back from it. Her brain, and all of those stories, to get back to the book, all of those stories are lost now because they're gone forever.
Oh, I'm so sad for you and your family, and God bless, man. I lost my grandfather, my favorite grandfather, to Alzheimer's as well. And the only one at the table he would remember was me. He would always call me Big Boy. I love you, Big Boy. I love you. And he'd sit at the table and sing barbershop quartet songs, and my father would actually be like, I'm not trying to silence him, but hey, whatever. And I'd look at my dad like, let him sing, man. That's what's making him feel good. He's singing, so I'm so sorry for that. And
it is amazing how music finds a way to connect with people that have Alzheimer's. It's
crazy. And it's bringing him back to that time when he was a kid, whatever it is, and COVID's a dangerous thing. We came off this last tour. The last show was in Albuquerque. We hit Albuquerque. It seemed like a storm was following us the whole time. It was freezing. We hit Albuquerque. It was supposed to be sunny. It was snowing, right? Anastasia said, "I'm starting to feel a little sick." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm about 6 hours from stage. I'm starting to feel a little weird too." And we came home, and we had a 2-day drive, 1,000-mile drive. And we had a 2-day drive. And by the time we got home, we were so sick as fuck. And I said, "You know what? Go get a COVID test." And she goes, "Really?" And I go get, we had some upstairs, and we tested. I mean, within, those things take 14, 15 minutes to manifest, right? Within seconds, it was like, boom. Oh shit, I have COVID again. So my whole thing was, oh my God, is this second one, is this gonna take me down? Is this gonna hit my heart? Thank God it was only like a 17-day sickness, but I was tired all day, the same shit, sleeping all day, couldn't eat, and I'm trying to keep weight on actually, because I got so skinny over COVID that I didn't look like myself. And I look better. I'm 5'7", but I look better like any Italian guy with a little bit of belly on, a little bit of arms and belly on you. You know what I mean? So I was really tripping out. And luckily she came out of it quicker than I did her second time. It only took her 8 or 9 days and she was good. Took me a little longer, but yeah, people got to be careful. And I heard all the chatter. COVID's not real. COVID's real. It's like, listen, man, millions of people died. Well, it's from here. It was made by, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck about any of the chatter. Let's just talk about the human process of shutting down the world and people dying, right? And I was right there.
And it's not even just the people dying. I lost probably some of the last months of my mom's healthy brain because of it. She's still alive, but it completely changed everything.
I'm so sorry for that.
You know,
I'm so sorry.
It affects like I still haven't gotten it that I know of, which is so
here's
weird.
The thing. My brother and sister have never got it, but they have the antibodies, which means they've got it. They had it, but it never affected them.
Right.
You know, and everybody wants to talk to me. Well, have you been vaxxed? Have you not been vaxxed? It's like, do me a favor. Don't talk to me about vax, no vax. Don't talk to me about guns. Don't talk to me about the presidents. Do me a favor. Right? We're talking about COVID. We're talking about a fucking disease that's killing people, right? Like, come on. Like, let's talk about that. So, yeah, I'm sorry for that. I'm so sorry for that. And look, we lost a lot of great people in our life, in around our lives. I got to say goodbye to one of my closest friends, who died alone in a hospital with no family around him. That's why Anastasia never let me go. The EMTs twice told me to go. You know, after they got me out of they took me to the makeshift hospital where they all have hazmats or whatever and shot my stomach up with antibodies and all this other stuff. And we don't want to end this on a big downer, but like, she wouldn't let them put me in the hospital. Because she's like, he's not going to die alone on a ventilator. If he's going to die, he's going to die here at home. And I mean, I was like, are you sure? I mean, she's Jewish and Mayan, right? Which means she's thrifty with money, but heads will fucking roll. and I said to her, "You sure you're not Italian?" Like, that's a very Italian thing to fucking say. Fucking my husband is going to die here at home, not alone. So
we were afraid my mom was going to get it and with Alzheimer's be in the hospital and be alone and not have any idea what the hell was going on. So again, she's staying home. Like,
yeah, it's sad. What I have read, and I've read a lot about Alzheimer's as well, is that talk to her about her youth.
Yeah.
Bring her pictures of her youth, her old dogs, maybe.
And the
you know
music,
what I mean?
the music more than anything. I put on a Beatles record. She's right there. It's unbelievable.
Oh, man.
It's so crazy.
Awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah,
that is so.
She doesn't know who I am, but she knows who the Beatles are. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and like there's some people who think that she actually does know who you are, but in her mind she can't tell you that.
Yeah.
She can't get it out. So
it's like a patch bay to go to a musical recording reference that the patches just aren't connected right. That it's all in there.
That's it. I always say to my wife, if I'm ever going like that, like, try to help me out, man. Like, like literally out, like out.
Yeah. Oh, no, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing the conversations that you have when you're confronted with that, with the people you love, and you're like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I saw my grandfather get it, it was really difficult for me. I mean, because he's a fucking hard guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, oh man, this and then I think, well, is it in my family? Like, is that gonna,
Right.
And then
I've read,
and I'm pro cannabis for a lot of different things. Even CBD, I'm pro. I've read that cannabinoids actually keep that away and stop that process from happening. So
they're doing a lot of research on it now, which is a really good thing. My sister and I do a lot of reading on all of the different studies and all of the different things that they think might contribute to it. And so it's science and research is amazing that way.
I had a friend of mine, he's in his early 30s, actually. He's young, he's a kid compared to me. And he has these shakes all the time. And I'm like, what's going on with you? You got to go get your brain checked because there's something happening. And sure enough, if he'd be talking to you, he'd be like this. And if he took one hit of a joint, he'd be good. He'd be stuttering when he's speaking. I want to go. Let's go eat. And he'd take one hit and he'd be like, hey, man, let's go eat. Are you hungry? So, yeah, they need to do more research. They need to do more. I mean, luckily, luckily that's all being done right now. That everybody knows the good properties in every herb that's put on this planet, including cannabis. So hopefully, they'll find a breakthrough with that. And I'm sure that there's something for Alzheimer's in cannabinoids.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, for sure. And,
well, I mean, it's legal in Massachusetts now. I never thought I'd live to see that day.
Oh, hell no. Back in the day, I was like, we're coming into Boston, put the shit in the trailer.
You couldn't even legally get tattoos here when you and I met.
That's right. I remember that. Absolutely. I mean, there's still places in the country where I'm like, I'm just not going to cruise with flour in the bus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. So, I'm not about to go to jail in whatever, Missouri or whatever. Yeah, I'll tell a fucking hilarious story. Let's go here. This is more fun. Fucking hilarious story. So DevilDriver, we're riding and we're in the bus and it's probably the 4th day on tour. And this is years and years ago. We're coming through St. Louis and all of a sudden there's a cop behind us and the driver's letting everybody know like he does on the bus, hey, we're getting pulled over. I'm like, cool. Nobody smoked a weed on the bus or what have you. But I had at least, I would say, an ounce and a half of weed on me.
Personal use.
Personally, but I'm like, this is St. Louis. I'm definitely going to jail, right? So he goes, hey, there's not one car behind us. There's 4 cars and 2 cop trucks behind us. This thing is going to get boarded. That's what my driver said. So I immediately put everything down the toilet, which has a lot of like RV blue stuff down in there, what have you, right? And I close it up, I wash it down and make sure there's nothing seen, right? You can still smell it a little bit because I had to open it up to dump it, right? This cop comes on. And after 3 hours of us sitting on the side of the road, and I mean 4 cops and 2 trucks and everybody going through everything, going through all of our shit, he finally comes up to me and he's like, so we can't find it. Where is it? And I said, honestly, I do not know what you're talking about. There's 2 things that I've learned from law enforcement. A, don't say shit if you don't have to. And B, if you know you're going to get fucked and they ask you, then go ahead and be straight up, be a man. Be fucking honest. Yeah, I got some weed on me. Let's get this over with, right? But I had nothing on me. So I told him the fucking truth. I got nothing on me. He finally looks at me, he goes, I'll bet if I dump that toilet, I'm going to find a bunch of weed. And I said, well, something's really funny here, officer. We're on the freeway. And if you dump that toilet, there's so much RV blue fluid in there, you're going to have to call a hazmat unit. And I don't know if your superiors are going to be happy with that. You're going to have to shut down the freeway probably. This shit's going to go everywhere. It's going to get all over your hands. Like,
literal shit's going to go everywhere.
And I told him, and I said, I wouldn't do that if I was you. And he's like, you know what? And he literally said to me, you know what? Fuck you. And they left. And they left. And I was like, and it's so many years ago, I don't mind talking about it. But oddly enough, about 4 or 5 years later, I was at a gig right outside of St. Louis and got approached by a dude. And he's like, you know what? I was one of those cops that boarded your bus 5 years ago. I've always been a fan. You were fucking cool that day. Can you tell me, did you have any drugs on the bus? I said, I didn't have drugs. He goes, did you have weed? I said, I did. He goes, was it in the toilet? I go, it was. So just hilarious. It's in the book. There's a shitload of stories like that. A shitload of fucking stories.
Tommy Lee told a story that when they try to cross the border, he used to put it up on the roof of the tour bus. And
smart move.
They'd board it, search it, and then as soon as before they drove too fast that it would blow off, he'd reach back up on the roof of the bus and pull it back down again.
Smart move. One of the, this is how actually, here's a real quick one and then we'll end it. And it's actually in the book. So I'll just tell you a real brief one. But when I first started touring with Pantera, I became really good friends with Anselmo. I was riding on his bus. And we were coming out of Dallas. They had just played. There was like 15, 20,000 people in an arena. We were coming out. We left at 1, 2 o'clock whenever buses leave. We were in the back. He had an ounce of weed. And I swear to God, we didn't get more than 4 miles. We're in Texas. Back in the day, they catch you with an eighth of weed, which is this much weed, going to jail for a very long time. Bus driver said the same thing. We're getting boarded. And I was like, oh, shit. And Philip was like, what am I going to do? What are we going to do? And I'm like, bro, you got huge gigs to make. I can miss a gig. Let me have the weed. And he's like, what? And I go, you're Italian. I'm Italian. Let me show you how you do it. I grabbed an ounce of weed that he had. I put it down my pants. Right then they came on the bus, everybody out. We're all out. They walk a dog by us. The fucking dog, when a dog sits down, that's when you're fucked. They don't go after you. They sit down. The dog kept going by all of us and kept going by me. So he must not have been a marijuana dog, right? They must have been looking for cocaine or some other bullshit. So now they're like, okay, we didn't find anything. We're out. You guys can roll. And Philip just comes back to me and give me a fucking huge hug. And we sat there and ate Taco Bell in the back lounge of the bus, man. You know, it was just crazy. It was crazy. And the story is actually way longer than that because I hit another ounce that they had underneath some Taco Bell. And then when their dog went, he was going for the weed, but he was going for the Taco Bell. The driver said, hey, you know, it's 3 a.m. I'm not going to get any more food from my guys. Keep your fucking dog away from the food. And that Taco Bell and my quick moves actually saved it. So, yeah.
Well, Phil owes you passes to the Metallica tour for that story. He still owes you.
I actually owe him. I mean, Pantera took me out a long time. He turned me on to a lot of fucking heavy music. I lived on and off at his house for years. It's all in the book. I actually owe him a great deal. So I'm glad to see him doing his thing too. And yeah, it's like I owe a lot of guys a great debt for taking me out or getting behind me. Guys like Ozzy, guys like Ensemble, guys, you know, a lot of the guys that took me out on tour. Dave Mustaine from Megadeth took me out a lot. You know, obviously Sabbath. I did the world with Sabbath a couple times. Like, you know, I owe Sharon Osbourne a great debt for managing me and actually putting me and my wife together. Because the first time I was with Anastasia, we were pulling into the Forum in LA. And Sharon said, oh, is that your new girlfriend? I said, yeah. Next thing I know, they were gone for 3 hours. And Sharon came back. It's like, I'm like, where were you? To Anastasia. She's like, I was hanging out with Sharon, talking with Sharon. And Sharon's like, this is going to be your wife. I'm telling you right now. And sure as shit, we've been together the whole fucking time.
Wow.
Yeah. Anastasia didn't even know I was a musician. She thought I was a fucking drug dealer because I was living in the Beverly Hills Hotel and the La Park Hotel in Beverly Hills. She's like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, the last thing I wanted to tell her was rock and roll because then she may jump on. And then she may jump on it. You know what I mean? So I said, hey, do me a favor. Like, let's go out tonight. Show up over at the hotel nice and early. I got some friends coming to pick us up. We're going to go somewhere. Just dress comfortable, but kind of be rock and roll. She's like, okay, great. And next thing you know, a tour bus pulls up at the hotel and we're walking in it. She's like, what are we doing? What do you do? And I'm like, this is a band called Pantera. They're picking me up. Let's get on their tour bus.
Get your got on their
tour bus, on the Pantera tour bus, on Phil's bus. They rolled me down underneath the Forum. And she's like, where are we going? And I'm like, you know, Black Sabbath and Pantera are playing tonight. We're going to go see them. And I'm going to introduce you to my manager, who's Sharon. She's like, what? And I'm like, I'm a singer in a band. And she's like, holy fuck. She saw me first at a funeral, at Lynn Straight's funeral, actually. God rest in peace. One of the best fucking frontman that ever lived, to be honest with you. She saw me at his funeral, but didn't want to approach me because it wasn't
kind of hard
cool
to pick up somebody at a funeral.
Yeah, well, I was in the Rose Garden hanging my head with a bottle of wine, kicking rocks. I was extremely upset. Yeah. And at that point, I said, you didn't put it together? I was a musician? Like, there's a bunch of fucking musicians. She goes, yeah, there's a lot of drug dealers. There's a lot of people there. You know what I mean? She goes, I didn't know what the fuck. So yeah, that's...
I just was talking to Clint about that video, the Angel Sun video, and all of the amazing musicians that are just sitting around the fire in that video. It's a time capsule, that video. It's crazy.
Yeah, me and Lynn, like we became friends because I had it out for him. So we ruled LA. I mean, Korn was busing people up to LA to fill their shows when Coal Chamber was packing on our own because we were from LA. And here comes this band called fucking Snot. And I'm like, this ain't happening. And so one time in front of the Roxy, everybody was kind of like at each other. There was a team mentality with nu metal, but not really. We helped each other out. We played shows, but it was all about, I want to play shows with you so I could kick your ass on stage. And here comes Snot. And one time in front of the Roxy, I actually said to him, hey, you're fucking Lynn from Snot? He goes, yeah, you're Dez from Coal Chamber. I've got your tape. at my house. Like, I'm a fucking fan. I go, yeah, well, I'm not a fucking fan. Go the fuck back to Santa Barbara. True story. Total dick move. I own up to it. I own up to it in my book, as a matter of fact. And Lynn's like, instead of us fighting, because it looks like, are we going to fight right now? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, instead of us fighting, why don't we go in the Roxy, do a couple shots, and then I've got a fat joint in my car. Let's go smoke some weed. And I was like, we're going to be bros. And we ended up being friends.
Do we just become best friends? You want to go do karate in the garage?
Yeah. Are we best friends now? Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yeah, I love it. By the way, I love that movie, Step Brothers. That's a bus movie. It's always running on the bus.
Yep, exactly.
So cool, man. Cool
it was
story.
So good to see you, dude. I'm so happy that you're good. Like, I was worried about you. You were too quiet for a while. I knew something was going on. And then all the news came out about how sick you were. And I was like, okay, now I don't want to bother him because I figured you're recovering and everybody's bothering you. So
I love you. And it's great going down memory lane. And tell people that are in your life that you love them. Tell them you love them now, because tonight you could walk off the curb and get hit by an ice cream truck.
Yeah.
And no pun intended, no coal chamber pun intended.
I was going to say, how many coal chamber references are you putting in this interview?
Yeah, and actually, I don't even know how they're coming out like that, but that's the truth. That's the truth. So like try to just, tell people in life that you love them, and try to be a good person and be good to your teenagers, your new teenagers, and be good to your new husband, and hopefully he'll be good to you. And
he's got terrible taste in music, but I'm working on it.
Yeah. Life's a beautiful thing. Life's a really beautiful thing. I did an interview with a guy the other day that said, well, I'm not really happy in life, Dez. Like, I'd be fine just to not be here. And I took him to task for 10 minutes in his own interview about how beautiful life is and how incredible it is when you're in the backyard and a butterfly. It doesn't sound incredibly metal, but when a butterfly swings by your face, how beautiful that is.
A butterfly's metal as fuck.
I saw a black butterfly with red wings. Was so fucking metal. But yeah, man, I think just live life, try to be good to the people around you, and try to be true to yourself. And it was great going down fucking memory lane. Of course, you and I could do it for the next fucking 4 hours, but I think your viewers, your listeners are going to get bored as shit.
I don't know, man. The last time you and I did it, it was pretty goddamn entertaining. I can't wait to do it in person again. I'm so happy you guys are going out on the road this summer.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it around the book. I mean, right now we're talking about Dealing with Demons coming out May 12th. So that's the second part of a double record. But let's do it when the book comes out, because at that point, I can really kind of go into things more. And I'd love to have you read it and then be able to.
Yeah.
Because you're in the book.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, you helped break all of our careers. I don't think without you, Boston would have seen the fucking light of day of Seven Dust, Coal Chamber. I mean, let me go down the line of bands. Oh. We all owe you a great fucking deal, So
you can pay me in sauce from the tomatoes.
She just said I could pay her in sauce. Make sure we got some extra jars. Oh shit. Anastasia, she's amazing. We'll do that. So yeah.
You'll be in town July 30th at the Xfinity Center on the Mudvayne tour. The new album, May 12th. There's a lot going on. Autobiography coming out. Hit me up on Instagram. If I'm on there, I'll say hi to you. Label's trying to get me to do a TikTok. I said, absolutely not. I just deleted my Twitter, and I don't know how long I'll be on Instagram. I'm just as I get older, I'm getting more and more private, which of course I shouldn't be doing. It's a perfect time to write a book when you're trying to be private.
I said, after the book comes out, can I just get off social media completely? My wife's like, I laugh at you, because she's my manager. Like, I laugh at you. No, you cannot.
Well,
want to say goodbye?
Yes. Bye, Carrie. Can't wait to see you. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, you will. I'll see you this summer. It was so good to see you guys.
You're coming out to that gig, right?
Yeah, I should be. Yeah.
Yeah, so come see Mudvayne and Coal Chamber. And, oh my God.
And Nonpoint and Guar and Butcher Babies. It's a huge show.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Anastasia, I got these. Hold my phone right here.
Okay.
I got these the year that I met you.
What?
Oh.
The year that you had us on the radio, somebody came up and gave this of me and Anastasia.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Aren't they cute?
They're adorable. You guys
I like to put them in suggestive positions.
Yeah, they gave me mine, and actually they gave me Anastasia's one like a year or two later because, that we met later on. And now they sit here like they stare at me.
Wait, hold on. I have to show you mine. Hold on.
Awesome. She's got one too.
I put them in suggestive positions.
In suggestive positions.
Yeah. I have Muppet Mistress.
Oh my God, check it out.
What? That's so cool. Oh my gosh, she looks like she should be in
my nails and everything. And my
I love it.
That's so cool. I love the Muppets.
Yeah. You know what? One of the best things, and it's going to sound terribly fucking heavy metal. One of the best things I've ever seen is the Muppet Haunted Mansion movie.
On Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus. It's so fucking well done.
Dude, I spent 20 minutes talking to Alice Cooper about being on the original Muppet Show. Alice Cooper said it was the best thing he's ever done in his career.
Dude, we just watched that like about, a week or two ago? We just watched that.
It's the best thing he's ever done in his career. I watched that, and that's how I learned about Alice Cooper as a youth.
Yeah.
See? And I just talked to Billy Corrigan, and he's on the new one, the Muppet Mayhem with the band.
No shit.
Mate, yeah. It's on Disney Plus.
Tommy Lee's in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they kidnapped him, tattoo Mayhem on his belly because he already has that on his
fucking
belly.
Crazy.
Yeah, and Billy Corrigan from the Smashing Pumpkins is on it too. It's crazy.
I've never met Billy, but I met Alice a bunch of times. What a great fucking guy.
Yeah.
Never, ever stops to not take the time to say hi to you. Even if you're in catering, it's like, hey, Alice, what's up? Hey, what's up, Dez? And I'm like, fuck, he knows my name.
It's Alice Cooper.
Unbelievable. Forget about it. And the fact that I managed Wednesday 13, of course, we always talk about Alice Cooper.
Yeah. He told me to this day, every year on his birthday, the Muppets send him a little Muppet figurine.
To this day, every year on his birthday, the Muppets send him, Anastasia, a little Muppet figurine.
Oh my gosh.
Since the 70s when he was on the original show.
I love it. Pure class, man.
I asked Nina Strauss to steal one for me the next time she's in his house.
Oh, we love Nina. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's the best.
She's an incredible talent, to be honest with you.
Yeah, she is.
She's an incredible talent. So look, we'll catch up.
Yep.
We'll catch up.
We'll see you guys soon.
Love you so much.
Love you too. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was fun.
There he is, the one and only Dez Fafara from DevilDriver and Coal Chamber. The new DevilDriver album, Dealing with Demons 2, comes out this Friday, May 12th. And Coal Chamber are part of the Psychotherapy Sessions tour with Mudvayne, Guar, Nonpoint, and Butcher Babies. The tour kicks off July 20th in West Palm Beach, Florida, and runs through August 26th in Inglewood, California. The only New England date is July 30th at the Xfinity Center in Mansfield, Massachusetts, and tickets for the entire tour are on sale now. If you're looking for more information on Dez, Coal Chamber, or DevilDriver, check out the show notes of this episode of the podcast. You'll also find all of my links and the link to this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the podcast that features all of my guest music and all the other artists and songs we talked about in the episode. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie Podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, every weekday, you get the Sit Rep, which boils down all of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment industry info in just 5 minutes. And plus, you never know when we're going to release a bonus episode. You can always find me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern on my official Facebook page for my video show, Cocktails in the War Room. And you can listen every day to the Mistress Carrie radio show. Get all the details on that and more at mistresscarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.